It's time. It is time to brew your best beer.
The 2020 Sjporr Challenge Gold sponsors Bouncer. A special thanks to double gold sponsor Bouncer, keeping the dregs out with an inline filter for homebrewers, keeping you homebrewers organized on a brew day with Boil Bro, and keeping beer fun with the Growler Bro mini beer flavor infusers. BrewTubers, online brewers club, forums, recipes, articles, new updates, brewing tools, and more. Yakima Valley Hops, fresh from the source to your kettle, supplying hops for homebrewers and the craft beer industry. Omega Yeast Labs, fresh, healthy, unique, pitch-ready liquid yeast for pro brewers and homebrewers. Jaded Brewing, home of the fastest immersion wort chiller, the Hydra, and other brewing supplies. Brady Instruments, supplying the world with high-quality, hand-blown, handcrafted, scientific instruments like the Sjporr Challenge Hydrometer Trophy.
Hey folks, it's MM. I'm back with another beer review for the Sjporr Challenge, and this will be the final review that I have to do. So kind of just recapping the way I've been doing these, just going to go through the basic score sheet that we have, that I'll be looking at appearance, aroma, flavor, mouthfeel, and then the overall impression and scoring according to that. This beer that I'm doing is ID number E54 RD1 76W. The beer style is a pale ale. The adjuncts are blood orange tea and fresh blood orange fruit. The hops are Mandarina Bavaria, Cashmere, and Lemon Drop, and it has an ABV of 7.4%. Again, it's E54 RD1 76W. So this one's in a can. Glass here, so let's see what we got. Me and cans. The current state of the United States, I haven't been able to get manicures, so I have no nails right now. I know, like first world problems, right? Pour here. I'll just pour it all in there. Normally I only go about half, but kind of got carried away with that one. So, it's a really nice color. Not a real big nose at all on it. Get a tiny bit of like an orange peel almost into it. It is a really nice color. Got like an orange copper color to it. Pretty clear. Most of what you're seeing there I think is like a chill haze. So I mean, carbonation, it's alright. Give it a sip here. It's interesting. So, pale ale. It's very crisp and has that little bit of definite citrus to it. That I always say that citrus flavor that makes your mouth water, kind of hits that back of your tongue and kind of produces that little bit of salivation to it. Not super bitter, but there's a little bit of bitterness on the end of it as it starts to dry off. So that's pretty good. So interesting. Alright, well, I am going to drink a little bit more of this one, make some tasting notes, and I'll be back with some final thoughts and a wrap up for this particular pale ale. What I've been doing in these reviews, historically, if you've watched any of the rest of them, is I've been kind of doing trying to find the one thing that I might say, like, you know, I would suggest maybe this or maybe that, because one of the things with the challenge, and I'm hoping that most of you that are watching this video by this point in time with the Sjporr challenge realize that MM is Pour. My part in this challenge is to kind of just sort of stay on the outskirts and watch what's going on and make sure everything stays above board, which it does. But I'm also a huge proponent of education. That's been my big piece with the challenge, is making sure that we educate brewers and competitors in the craft of home brewing. It's a great hobby, and it opens up all kinds of doorways for your creativity, whether you're a brewer who brews for the science of brewing or a brewer who brews for the art of brewing. And I've been known to say there are two different distinctive types of brewers, those that brew for the science and those that brew for the art. And there are some that brew for both sides. Some people like the tinkering, gadgetry, building their systems, really getting into the science of brewing. And there are some that brew strictly for the art of brewing. They like to create recipes, they like to come up with flavors, they like to see what they can do, and the science kind of falls behind. For me, I'm always about education, whether it's educating you on the science or the art. But the other part of the thing with the challenge in education comes in also learning how to taste beers and how to appreciate different styles of beers and how to educate one another to become better brewers. How to say to someone, this beer was great, kind of tasted this though, so maybe the next time you brew it, consider doing this. Or, hey, have you ever thought about adding this instead of that? Or, wow, that was really overcarbonated. What did you do? Did you do this or did you do that? We all brew at different levels. We all have different experiences. Some of us have been brewing for 20 plus years. Some of us have been brewing for a year. The great part about the challenge is there's no prerequisite for how long you've been doing this. There's no prerequisite for how many beers you've brewed. There's a love the hobby, step into it, brew the best beer that you can brew that day on your brew day, and enter that beer, and then get honest, positive, constructive feedback on that beer. So, now that I've climbed up on my soapbox about the challenge, in full transparency, and I hope that you will all, moving forward, if you haven't done this before, begin to do this now. In full transparency, E54 RD1 76W Pale Ale with blood orange tea and fresh blood orange fruit as the adjunct, and Mandarina Bavaria, cashmere, and lemon drop hops is my beer. So for those of you who got to taste this beer, here's what I want you to reflect on post tasting it and judging it. This is a malt liquor, straight up malt liquor that I threw blood orange into just because I wanted to brew a malt liquor with a little bit of flavor to it. If you tasted this beer and judged it, and you've ever drank a Ballantine, I want you to think about adding blood orange, cashmere, lemon drop, and Mandarina Bavaria hops to a Ballantine. That's my beer. The other really cool thing, if you judge your own beer, you can kind of gauge whether or not you need to do it objectively, because if you don't do it objectively, this doesn't work. So you have to judge your own beer as if you have no idea how this beer was brewed or who brewed it, just like you're judging the rest of them. It can be challenging because you have to pick your own beer apart. There's a lot that goes into this challenge. There's a lot that goes into brewing your beers. Again, it's a fun hobby. It's a fantastic hobby, and sometimes even when you're on the fly, you can come up with some really creative things. I will tell you that I am a brewer who brews for the art. By nature, I am a math and science minded person. That's my career path. So for me, this hobby is creative. Could I get into the science of it? Probably. I could probably really delve into the science of it and hold my own in a conversation about, you know, pH and percentages and balances and water chemistry and everything else that goes under the sun. But I choose not to do that because for me, this hobby is an outlet of my creativity. I love building recipes and I love coming up with flavors. Or in this case, I want to just brew a malt liquor and throw some flavor into it because sometimes you just want a beer that you can sit on the deck when it's warm outside and just drink and enjoy for no other reason than I can brew a malt liquor. So, I know occasionally some of the malt liquor guys watch the videos that go along with the challenge. They can't help themselves. So, here's to brewing in my bathtub and making a malt liquor. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for a great Sjporr challenge.